Welcome again to another edition of Nigerian Theatre Witnesses to History. As you know, it's the program where we bring in people who have been in the theatre, who have made impact, who are contributing or have contributed to the Nigerian theatre. The entire purpose is to ensure that we document their contribution to the field of theatre in their various dimensions so that others can have access to their experiences in terms of documentation, theses, and essays in future. And today is an exciting day because this person that I'm bringing has such vast, diverse experience in the field of theater, in the field of communication, in Nigeria, in Africa, and all over the world. He was the editor of Guardian on Sunday for some years. Long before then, along with other people, they founded the Committee for Relevant Art, and he's been the driver for such a long time. He's been a consultant and contributor to a lot of Pan-African festivals and programs. Is a cultural curator, is a valued, very valued contributor to the art field in Nigeria. Indeed, is also one of the pillars of the Freedom Park in Lagos. You hear his name, you know that he's done a lot. And I'm so glad to have him, to be able to can his experience for other people who are coming behind to be able to have access. And I'm talking of no other person but the same JAHMAN, OLADEJO, Anikulapo. He's done so much. And I'm going to allow him to tell us how he found himself in theater. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, sir.
People are excited. How did you find yourself in the field of theater?
Well, in the first place, I'm honored to be interviewed by you, because when we went to the University of Ibadan to study theater, your name was out there. I mean, your name, Kunle Adeyemo, the Bentomoloju, Jidio, but those were the names we were told to reference. And I remember Professor Adelugba would always say, go and read his thesis. You know the way we say, his thesis, go and read his thesis. And so we read a lot about the work that your generation did. And
Thank you.
I'm saying generation now,
Yeah.
not to say your set,
Yes.
that you left for us, and it inspired us. I mean, what you did inspired us to do this. And I think, yeah, to start, that's part of the thing that must have inspired us to go into the theater. I think originally I was not necessarily invested in the arts.
Right.
When I was in secondary school. Well, I come from a background of performance, let me put it that way. If my maternal grandfather was a priest, and the way I saw what he was doing, I had to grow up with him at some point. I was very little then. And the divination process was a performance for me.
Yeah.
His wife, who was my maternal grandmother, was the priestess of Adato for some years. And what she did was more performance to me. In fact, they gave me the name Onileke, because what she said was that most evening when barren women, you know, women who need children and co, when they come to consult her in the shrine there, it wasn't called shrine then, but it was like our own palace. When they come to consult her, that I will go and don beads, put it on my neck, wear costume, and I'll be joining the women.
You are preparing yourself for
yes, I'll be dancing with them, and so they started calling me Onileke. because I mean, I can't remember those things, but I think I remember one or two things that I took part in the Koli dance when they gathered. I'm talking of Abeokuta.
Yes.
When they brought children together to do the Koli dance, the Orisha dance.
Yes.
And I joined them in white beads and all of that. So probably it started from there. But then there was a break. Instead that my dad, when we came back to Lagos, my dad was not necessarily into that. He was doing some other. He was a Christian, he was a Muslim, but he was also invested in masquerades. He was the patron of the Egungun and all of that. So he wasn't really interested in all of this. But when I then went to secondary school, I was doing more of football. Playing in my school and running long distance in Lagos City College first, and then when they took over school, when the Obasanjo time, then they took over school.
Yes.
We were taken to Sakatinumbu,
where
we were told by our principal that you have to choose one social, I think it was one
social study
group. Either you join the Literary and Debating Society or the book club, Boy Scout, Boys Brigade, football, but then you must join either Literary and Debating Society or Speakers Club. Then there was the Drama Club.
Right.
So, well, I was playing football and then registered for drama. I don't know why. I can't even remember why I did that. But I remember that I will go, my life was more about the football. But because you also have to show up at the drama club, you can play football in the morning, but then in the afternoon, school was very good then. Yeah. You have to be engaged in all this activity. So I had to then do drama. So I'll just go to where they'll be rehearsing. I'll just look in and disturb them and go. By this time, a man called Bentomolojo had come from Makodi, where he was serving, to finish his youth service in my school. So he was teaching us literature, English, and drama. Yes. So he formed the drama club. And I didn't know that he was doing a rehearsal that day. I was in the club. In fact, he was bohemian. He used to wear this long gown, red beret.
That was the way he was in the
university. Was made of tie and he wear platform. So I just came to the window and was just disturbing the guy just to register my presence. Then he came out of the window. I didn't know. So he pulled me and said, since you came to disturb, go and play the role. Hey, what's Mastilo? Leave me. I was kicking and screaming. They took me inside and I just demonstrated Baba Fagbaye. That was the first role that he said I should do. And he said, so you have this kind of talent and you were playing, say, now you are going to play the role. Wahala.
That's it.
I say, Wahala. What is this? And he made it compulsory. And if you knew Ben then, he was very fearsome. He said, you must come to rehearsal every day. I mean, I had to do football. I had to come and do this, join Boy Scout. But I started enjoying it. But I can't tell you why I was enjoying it then because I discovered that the finest girls
were in the drama club.
I just, look, even if I'm going to die here, we die here together. That's why I joined them. And then we formed this group, the drama club. We went for intercollegiate drama competition in Lagos. Schools, we've lost a lot. Yes. Because schools were really very good in those days. We were going for competition.
I know.
We prepared to go for competition.
I know.
So we went for this competition where they brought, a.k.a. area was where most of the Yoruba theater people were. All of them came. Koko Sari, they all had their groups. Ajile Theater. They participated in the thing. And our school, secondary school, we were tiny boys with tiny legs. We came third.
Wow.
And, the encomium, in fact, it's like we triggered something and everybody got to know about us in Agege because Ben really coached us. So from there, I think he too felt inspired and formed the Kakaki Arts Company. And what he did was to take the best actors in our school. He went to, I'm going to mention some names, so don't look, I'm dropping names. He went to is it Progress College. He went to all the schools around the place.
Same area.
And brought them to form the nucleus of Kakaki Arts Company. That's where Antalanio and myself met. Because we all now met in the best in the different schools when I'm brought into Kakaki Arts Company. And that's where the journey took off. So I had no other choice than to drop every other thing I was doing. And in fact, my first going to UI was as a footballer when I went to Anwar Islam College. We were preparing for Principal Cup.
Yes.
And I was taken to go in there. That was 1982, 81 going to 82. But then, that was when we were planning this transition.
Yes.
And there was a lot of disruption. And so from, I gained my first admission then, but I didn't honor it. I was hanging around UI, but I wasn't doing, I was always in the theater department, just watching what they were doing. That was when I first saw people like you. Okay. When you came back and do something.
You didn't go play football.
I was playing. I was living in football, but I was more or less
interested in what's happening in the
and I've told you one of the motivations too. I used to be very rough in those days. So I was hanging around there. But then by the time I reapplied, they gave me sociology. And I didn't want to do sociology. They gave me English. I didn't want to do English. I wanted that theater. So I just walked to Dapadelu Basoff. He was art director then. He said, sir, what I want to do is theater. And Bentomology told me that once I see you, because Ben and Gideon Ogunbade were working together. They were all part of.
They were roommates. They were classmates.
So they said when I see you,
actually they were soulmates.
Yes, I said you were going to sort me out, and he said, okay, yeah, you can do your sociology, but make sure you're doing elective courses. So it was so tough. I was doing sociology, science. I was social science, and then coming to do theater, but I had to just do everything. That's how the theater thing. By the time I was going into year 2, I just switched. Meanwhile, I had to take all the courses of all the diplomas. Yes. Antalani, Nobet Young, they all, Tunjishu Timiri, I think was ahead, 1 year ahead of them. Many of them who were doing diploma. Teju Karim, all of them were doing diploma. I would attend their class, attend the degree class, and still go for my sociology, and still play football. So it was tough.
Full diary.
I ended up not having a life. So that was how I became, I studied theater.
Good.
Yes.
I can't be asking you, did you enjoy it? Of course.
Oh, no.
You enjoyed it thoroughly.
Apart from the percussites.
Apart from all of those.
Then during the dance, I was more active in the dance actually than even in the acting. I was doing a lot more dance than I was doing acting.
Right.
Though the day I must do dance, I must do acting. I wanted to study directing.
You must.
Playwright, playwriting. So I was doing more of all of those.
What was most memorable for you in the Department of Theatre Arts?
Is seeing those productions. For instance, I was privileged because I came to school the year Naira Republic.
Yes.
By Aborishade. When I saw that set,
massive.
And then they were preparing Flash in the Sun, the one that went to the Commonwealth.
Yes.
When you see those productions, see the scale. If it's only now that I look at the Arts Theatre in Ibadan, I thought it was small.
Yes.
It looked massive to me. In those days that you have this huge set, story building on set, we build a car on set, build a train, ship on the same, that small stage.
Yes.
All these things became part of me that I was saying, no, I just got to be here. But then there was a critical intervention.
Yeah.
Kakaki was like a training school. It was like a school.
Yeah.
Because you have to learn how to write. In fact, every Saturday when we meet, the first thing we do, when we met then, the first thing we did was to take a script. Ben must have brought a literature piece that we have to dissect. You have to, you go deep into them. What we call dramaturgy.
Yeah.
What people do now, we break down the script to symmetry. That's where my writing thing came from. We argue. We argue with our teacher, you are wrong. This is what this character is saying. This is what you are saying. How did you relate? Then you take it to philosophy, metaphor. So we got to learn all of those. And then Ajo production was started.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure you also part
of. Of course, I was part of that.
Yeah, and Ben took all of us into Ajo as part of our training. Actually, he took us in our training, not as recruiting. But when we got there, he said, look, you guys are here, so you are part of the team. So that's why we joined the technical team. We're also acting. So in terms of memorable things, witnessing those productions, I think I was lucky to witness those productions in those days. And I could see, you are one-on-one with the actors.
Yes.
And then we could see legends. Like, I remember the first time I saw Oye Ogunjobi. He was on a wheelchair.
Yes.
He was crippled.
Yes.
And so this is the man doing was it Koto Ashipa?
Koto Ashipa.
I mean, he loomed larger than life.
Yes.
They met Baba Salah. Virtually everybody that was anybody we were running into. Why would I not be in the theater? Where else would I have gone that I've met all the... And then there were the legends like Dakwadi Lugba, Bayo Dune, Joel Adedeji. Remi Adedokun, Aburi Shari that I mentioned, Sumbo Mario, who was like, where is this guy coming from? Yeah. Looked like a character from the moon. So you met all these people, and then we had the Nasira dos Santos that came from Brazil, Mama Ajayi. These were names that you've read, that you heard about, and their life.
You're interacting with them.
Yeah. You can walk into the office and they...
Zulu Shofola,
Body Show one day. All the people were there. Yeah. So
Femi Fatoba.
Agbalo Ejuku. That's what we call it.
That was some time.
Yeah. So those were the memorable things. But the Ajo production was a critical point because it was the first real professional theater company that one worked with. It was also Bentomolo Jido Ogunbade. So where one is driving all through the script, Bide was doing directing, we were joining the dance, designing, to the point that I learned to design my own costumes, my own dresses. Yeah. Some of them are still wear today.
We worked quite hard in that time. And we were daring.
Oh, yes.
Do you think our artists are that daring now, the young ones?
I'll say
I'm just veering from...
Yeah. Well, I would say I'd like to give credit to people. I think they're daring.
Good.
It's just that the circumstances have changed.
Yeah.
What we did physical, that you have to manual.
Yes.
You can use technology to do it now.
To create
so why does anybody need to climb into the attic to go and fix light?
Yes.
Or green room and all of that. You don't have to do that. In fact, my encounter when I then traveled as a theater artist to Germany, this lady was operating this thing from computer.
Yeah.
Everything that needed to be done, how to turn the light, how to do, everything was on computer. He was just sitting down there. So I think they are daring the kind of physical activity, that manual activity that you need to do, which get you a bit more energetic. Because it makes you to feel that you are doing something. Yeah. It's no longer there. You can sit behind your thing and just operate. I mean, nowadays people have technical stuff to... In fact, you can even imagine what AI will bring. The energetic thing, the resources that we have to pour in as digital illiterates, as we are in quote, is no longer there now.
I'm asking that because in that time we had a teacher of directing, Mr. Ajibade, Yemi Ajibade. Okay. And I remember that one of the things he told us as students was, look, you can break any law. You can break any professional law. But first you must learn those laws. When you break it successfully, that means you've thought about it properly before coming to a decision that you want to break it. When you break it well, people will accept it. That replaces the law you've broken. And that was why I was asking, are they daring enough? Are they daring to test those regulations?
But to corroborate what you have just said, Femi Odubemi wrote a column in my current newspaper where he was saying, we're not saying people should not experiment or break law and all of that, but it is only the law that you know.
Yes, that you understand, that you know that you can break in.
Yeah. So if you say your daringness is to do, like the controversy we're beginning to have about the way people interpret cultural resources.
Yes.
Yeah, your argument. You first of all must understand the Eyo.
Yeah.
Before you can
tamper with it.
Yeah. So you don't just take it at the surface level. Because when you take it at subject level, you are likely to run into problem, which is what we have been saying.
Yes.
And people take certain
liberties.
Yeah, certain cultural resources
Yes.
now and then try to reinterpret them, but without really foregrounding it. That's what we call foregrounding.
Yeah.
As you have backgrounding, you have foregrounding.
Yes.
You first of all have to understand it properly, study it,
Yeah.
understand the rules, and then you can break it. So
You cannot but know it very well, before you can make an attempt to
yes.
tinker with it.
Yes. So maybe in that sense, the daringness, that may be where there's a lacuna. That people are too impatient to understand.
They want to change things they don't understand.
Actually, yeah, the experience is actually that people don't like process. They like result.
They just want to jump.
And you have to do processing. If you don't process I know how long it took us to set up, for instance, for this interview. Even that's process.
Yeah.
So you have to be patient to go through that process before you can then listen with the action. Yeah. Otherwise, when the process is wrong, it's like a house without a foundation.
It's going to be ugly.
Yes, that's where I can relate to the question.
Thank you very much, JAHMAN. And I would want to ask you, you went out with Ajo Productions. Which of the shows was most
the one that traveled, okay, that I performed?
That you performed in?
I think every one of the plays is memorable to me.
I want to say again that this is the Nigerian Theatre Witnesses to History, and our guests for this season is none other than JAHMAN OLADEJO Anikulapo. And you've seen how he entered into the theatre and his experiences at the early stage. Soon we'll be going into his other experiences along the way. But today we'll end this episode here and go on to the next one next week.